Are you taking the Eagles or the field to win the NFC?
I'm taking the Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles. First of all, the NFC is significantly depleted. So we got to take that into consideration. Secondly, when it wasn't depleted, they were the best team in the NFC. Thirdly, we've witnessed the elevation of Jalen Hurts, so we can't ignore that. Fourth, we know what their defense could do, particularly when it comes to getting to the quarterback with Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham and those boys. And now they drafted Carter out of Georgia and another cat out of Georgia as well. So they're going to get to the quarterback. I know their secondary is somewhat suspect. I know they lost both coordinators because both coordinators got head coaching jobs, but their head coach is still there. Their quarterback is still there. Their wide receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is there. You've got a tight end in Dallas Goedert. He's still there. And so when I look at the weapons, their offensive line is going to be one of the best in football, I predict. So you take all of those things into account, along with the experience, along with the stench from losing in the Super Bowl, being so close but yet coming up short. I think all of those things have to be taken into account before we reach the conclusion as to where we're going to go. And then last but not least, let's also remember Tom Brady's retired, Drew Brees is retired, and look at the competition within the NFC. Dak Prescott's got something to prove. Kirk Cousins doesn't get it done in the postseason. Jared Goff hasn't been there in a while. Okay, you got Derek Carr now in New Orleans, all right? Again, Tom Brady's retired. You got Baker Mayfield in Tampa. You got a rookie in Carolina, all right? We don't know what the hell is in Atlanta. And then you look at Seattle. You got Geno Smith. We know what kind of player he was, but still, it ain't Tom Brady or Drew Brees, even though he had a terrific season last year. And Brock Purdy and Trey Lance are coming off of injuries. We hope they're going to be okay. We anticipate that they will. But why would I take anybody ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC? The conference is not what it used to be, but the Eagles are still who we thought they were. I'm rolling with the Eagles over the field in the NFC conference.
I was in this position before with the Philadelphia Eagles as a former player. I go to a Super Bowl and had a very good football team. Ended up losing to the Raiders. Actually beat the Raiders that season, came back, and really the team was still intact. A lot of good football players. We got back into the playoffs. We lost our first game against the Giants. And I know how difficult this is. It all looks good on paper. When you go back and you look at the Eagles last year, no one was injured. This team was healthy through the whole season. But now all of a sudden some things have changed a little bit. And you can say change doesn't matter. Well, it does. It does in some senses. They've lost two coordinators. Now they picked up some players that I think that are tremendous. But that chemistry that you had when you make that Super Bowl run it's hard to get it back-to-back years. And I think the field is better. And when you look at their schedule, this is what worries me, Stephen A. Their last 8 games, you look at their last 8 games, 7 of them are against playoff opponents, big-time playoff opponents. That's a murderer's row schedule. I mean, it's hard, man. And so they're a playoff team. I don't know if they're going to be the favorite. I hope they are because they're the Eagles. But it's tough sledding, man. It is just tough sledding. And the NFC East is hard, man. It's hard. It's hard. They were 4-2 in the NFC East. They weren't 6-0. They were 4-2. Washington is better.
Oh,
Washington will be better. I'm just telling you. You watch it.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The enemy's going to do something with that offense.
Listen, I believe in the enemy. I believe in the enemy. But you talk about that. You talk about that team that celebrated a preseason victory like they just won a playoff game. You talk about that team that was also complaining about their new offensive coordinator just a few weeks ago. Okay, coach. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
That team.
Okay.
That team. All right.
Hey,
wait till they play.
Guys, you know what? This is why you need me here. I have no Philadelphia ties. Stephen A. was a writer in Philadelphia and covered all.
Yeah, but he's a Steeler. Steve's a Steeler.
And scoring a touchdown. Everybody remembers that. But me, I'm just on the outside looking in, guys, and I can be unbiased. The Philadelphia Eagles, on paper, when you look at that roster, what they accomplished last year should be the favorite in the NFC. But they ain't that sort of favorite. They're not the type of favorite that you feel like when you're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, who for 5 years have been that team in the AFC that has been to 3 Super Bowls, that has been to 5 AFC championships, that's won 2 Super Bowls. It's hard, Stephen A. I played on a team that went to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, and we lose to the Green Bay Packers, and you think that next year we're going to be right back in it. You go 12-4, and Tim Tebow sends you home. It doesn't just happen like that. If John Lynch can get Nick Bosa back into camp, Nick Bosa back on that field, that's still a top-notch defense.
I agree.
Even though you lose DeMeco Ryans, you pick up Steve Wilkes, right? We've seen that when Brock Purdy starts a game and finishes a game, they don't lose. The Seattle Seahawks have gotten better, especially once Jackson Smith-Njigba comes off of the hand surgery. We know what the Dallas Cowboys can be. What will their quarterback do? Can Dak Prescott finally step up? Because that defense is probably going to be better than the Philadelphia Eagles defense. And no, I'm not saying that right now in one game, in one matchup, I pick any of those teams to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. But I'm saying there will be change. What is Brian Johnson's offense going to look like?
Listen, here's the deal.
On Tuesday, he was on the pivot, and he said things are changing. So, Stephen A., you're thinking that same continuity and chemistry will be there, but they have to make sure that's developed because they are now the hunted, not the hunter.
Do you think that Pickett's preseason play means something or nothing?
I'm not going to say it means nothing because even with the AFC North being what it is, with Cincinnati and led by Joe Burrow, with Baltimore led by Lamar Jackson, with Deshaun Watson leading the Cleveland Browns, I assured America the Steelers ain't coming in last place in that division. Steelers going to knock off somebody. They're going to make life tough for somebody. These brothers, any team coached by Mike Tomlin, he approaching 17th,
right.
He ain't had a losing season yet. We know how we all feel about Coach Mike T. Having said all of that, what I love as a diehard Steelers fan, listen, no shade, Big Ben Roethlisberger going to the Hall of Fame. So grateful for all the greatness that he delivered throughout the years. But the last few years were very difficult to watch because he was immobile. He couldn't move. He was a stationary target. And it's nice to see a quarterback like Kenny Pickett who can actually move. He can actually throw, but he could actually run with the football from time to time. So I love that about him, Ryan. Make no mistake about it. But I'm looking at Deontay Johnson. I'm looking at the George Pickens of the world. I'm looking at the Najee Harrises of the world. Freiermuth, obviously, I'm a fan of his as well. And the Steelers have some weapons on the offensive side of the ball. But where they deserve major props to me is that they've prioritized this offensive line. And that's not just for run blocking, but pass protection. And the fact that, let's call it what it is. One of the things that was so alarming about the Pittsburgh Steelers in recent memory over the last 2 or 3 years is that when we looked at their offensive line, they were a shell of what we knew the Steelers to be traditionally, historically. I mean, since the days of Chuck Noll, obviously to Bill Cowher, you just didn't really have that problem oftentimes when it came to their offensive line. But that was a problem over the last couple of years or so. Mike T and their personnel, their management prioritized making sure that you buffed up that offensive line. And because of that, I think the Steelers have a chance. I'm not as high on them as I'd like to be, but I'm certainly not low on them. They're going this way. I just don't know if they're going this way. Not yet.
You know what, man? I'm so tired of you being a fair weather Steeler fan. Stephen A., either get on or get off.
Right? I know you ain't talking.
I'm sick of it.
I know you ain't talking.
I'm so sick of it.
You of all people, you haven't been critical of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've called you out on several occasions. Don't get me started. LSU and the Steelers. You turned your back on both your squads.
First off, I have never turned my back on the Steelers. I am honest because I am family, and family is honest. Now, we have a rule. We got a rule. I tell my family all the time, I'm with you when you right. And I also tell them I'm with you when you wrong in public. But this is a job, and I got to do my job. So if the Steelers need some straightening, I'm going to let it be known.
Well, why can't I do that?
Think about this team and what might... Because does. You a fan. Be a fan. Be supportive. Right? Let me tell the truth. Now back to what I was saying. Look at this team. Let's look at this team. What I do love, I'm just playing with you, Stephen A. What I do love about what you said was the physicality throwing up front. You go out in the first round and you get protection. Not only do you get protection, but you get a road grader. You get a dude that's nasty, that likes to get his hands dirty. Then in the second round, you draft a nose tackle because you have to be strong up front on both sides of the ball, and they weren't, Stephen A. So new general manager Omar Khan focused on that. Mike Tomlin focused on that. Now let's think about Kenny Pickett. This dude's 25 years old. We were just talking about the inexperience of Anthony Richardson. Kenny Pickett's the polar opposite. He started 49 games in college. He's a guy who's seen a ton of football. And after playing his first season, having a level of success down the stretch with the comeback win against the Raiders, a comeback win the next week against the Ravens, he goes back and watches every single incompletion to get better. Now, I caused a stir, right? Because I said that George Pickens was much more talented than Justin Jefferson. That's my fault because nobody is much more talented than Justin Jefferson. But the physical gifts that George Pickens has are second to none. They are top tier. They're on the tier with the Devontae Adams. They're on the tier with the Jamar Chases. They're on the tier with the Justin Jefferson. And we've seen those with the acrobatic catches, the things he can do for 50-50 balls with Deontay Johnson now sliding into the number 2 when he got number 1 skills. And a two-headed monster at running back? I'm saying it right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a playoff team. When we're sitting here in wild card round next year, the Pittsburgh Steelers will have punched their ticket. I believe in their quarterback. Just because he got small hands, don't believe he ain't got a big heart. Don't believe he don't have a big brain and don't believe that he can't go out and make plays. And we've seen it done. I believe in this team, Stephen A. And when you want to get on the bandwagon mid-season, I'm going to kick you off like throw mama off the train. Because we don't want you come and take us and be a part of us secondhand.
I call it like I see it. No. I call it like I see it. Go ahead, Coach.
I'm going to save a seat for him. I'm going to save a seat for Stephen A. I'm going to let him get on the train with us.
Don't save it.
I'm going to let him get on the train because the Philadelphia go up there and pick him up. We're going to be okay. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wanted to see Pickett in the preseason. I wanted to see how he was going to throw the football and play quarterback. But this team is headed in the right direction, guys. I mean, they really are. If the quarterback can play, and I understand it's preseason, but it matters. It matters. Preseason matters. They do matter with your starters, how they play it. I don't care who they're playing against. They're playing against professional football players. Bosa's back. That's going to help them defensively. This team will challenge the Ravens, and they will challenge the Cincinnati Bengals to get a playoff spot. There might be 3 teams coming out of this division, guys. There might be 3. Pittsburgh's got a shot.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.